morning is from Bill Schultz, who is in his last few months of an 8-year presidency of the Unitarian Universalist Association. He has been a wonderful leader for our Association of Churches, and probably one of the more exquisite and articulate spokespersons and writers for the whole liberal religious movement. He's been here a couple of times. He helped us celebrate our centennial celebration and came out here to Salt Lake to help celebrate my installation here. He's also a truly good friend. He starts out by telling us, or reminding us, in 18th century England, a group of Christians undertook to endow a lectureship at a major university. The object of the Boyle lectures, they said, was to present each year the most cogent and contemporary reasons for affirming belief in the Christian God. But after 4 years' worth of lectures, the original benefactors were mightily disillusioned. Virtually no one of our acquaintance, they explained, doubted the existence of God until our lectures tried to prove it. So Bill goes on to say that my aim is not to prove God's existence. Indeed, like many Unitarian Universalists, I have an ambivalent relationship with God. Virtually none of us, I would venture to say, are devotees of the traditional patriarchal anthropomorphic God of the heavens. And yet, almost 80% of us, according to our surveys, are comfortable with the use of the word God to describe something. Something, but exactly what, we're not too clear. If there is one thing which most contemporary theologians agree upon, it is this: God, if God there be, is ultimately indescribable. And yet, be that as it may, we sustain a terrible yearning to know the unknowable. We are not unlike the heretic who approached the Buddha and said, "Please tell me, O Masterful One, what is beyond both speech and silence?" The Buddha made no reply. Filled with admiration, the heretic cried out, I understand, stripped of illusion, I see at last." Well, says Bill, I am one of those who knows he doesn't see, wishes he did, and on very rare occasions thinks that he does. God and I, you see, started out on the very best terms. God was a male in those days of my childhood, and he and I were together mostly in the night, right before I went to sleep. Before my parents left my side, we said my prayers, "Thy love stay with me through the night and wake me with the morning light." This God I knew was coextensive with warmth and trust and all that tucks a little boy into his bed before the shadows come. But too soon I grew too old for prayers and bedside rituals, and with the passing of the child, that God passed too. Until at 17, I took up thought of ministry and began a careful, serious search of a God in whom I could believe. Tillich, Boltman, Barth, to Chardin. I read them all, though hardly understood them. And with the earnestness of only a teenager brings, I sought out deity. And some of my attempts, I now admit, were less than theologically sound. One day, in the midst of teenage ardor in the park, the young woman in my arms asked me to expound on God. Having just read Buber's I and Thou, I explained that God was identical with that mysterious process taking place between us right now. And yet, despite all my newfound erudition, God remained at large, abstract, a soup of words. But the role which deity has always played for humankind is that of source of value, meaning, and integrity. Whatever fills that role for us is coextensive with the glorious. It is, I want to suggest, a failure of the imagination to believe that the important question about God is whether he or she exists. The important question is my attitude toward creation one of trust, generosity, and enchantment, or suspicion, indifference, and cynicism? The answer to the second question will in turn suggest an answer to the first. The God of my childhood prayers is long since beyond my reach. And yet, for some reason, I continue to toy with the transcendent. It is not that I am wed to the word God. What is of concern to me is that I be a religious person. To be religious is to be tethered to trust, bold in pursuit of justice, and grateful for grace. For me, the word God is a useful way of signaling all of that, of reminding me that love is transforming, that creation is a blessing, and that sometimes at twilight, the mountains have wings. The offering.